We'll start with just me and you. How you doing?
Good. I mean, anytime I'm seeing Trump using the China virus in publicized verbiage, I think it's time for a little sell.
What are you referring to specifically? Yesterday?
His tweet, his last couple conferences. It's obvious he's heating up the pressure for his reelection campaign, and China is his best bet for that. Because when you think about it, no one can really disagree with China talk.
Yeah, well, I saw that they ordered China to close its consulate in Houston yesterday. Apparently, they were like burning papers outside in open containers, and then the United States ordered for them to close it, and then China said that they were going to retaliate somehow, maybe by closing the one in Wuhan.
Yeah, so the narrative around that and the virus, clearly you'd expect some sort of turbulence today.
Yeah, it's interesting. Bill Ackman's on CNBC right now. I haven't really been listening to what he's saying, but that was the guy that came on probably the day that the market really bottomed out, and was basically, I don't know if it was a stage, but he came on super dramatic, was kind of almost crying on TV, saying that
he's a great actor.
Took out a bunch of cash and was walking around the office just holding a lot of cash because he was so worried about what was going to happen. And then apparently right before he came on, he was short the market. And then shortly after he came on, he covered his shorts and went long the market. So
I'd be crying too if I had billions of dollars where I'm just hanging out with a wad of cash around an office. That guy is completely full of shit. He's a very smart dude, but I think he's a great actor. He's an entertainer.
Damn weasel.
Isn't that guy in that? Didn't he just start something to bring companies public? Like
SPACs.
What?
SPACs.
What's going on with them?
It's basically a bunch of companies that could have gone to IPO, and instead they go through a SPAC.
Like Lodell.
Led by Ackman or other people. And it's just another way to try to play the IPO market, really.
Interesting. That could be a Lodell play down the road. Who knows? I heard some rumors about that company in there.
You never know. So what, good morning, Dad. How you doing today?
I overslept.
Yeah, I did too, actually. I was up late. I got up like an hour ago.
I was watching Bloomberg at 2 a.m. and I thought it was morning and it was 4 hours early. And then I overslept after falling asleep again.
See, that's dedication right there for our viewers out there. That's why you got to tune into our morning market show. We got Bob Rolland staying up all wee hours of the night at 2 a.m.
doing his homework. It's like that last second book report. You wait till the day of to start.
Bob won't go to sleep at night until he sees what China is fully doing in the market that day. So,
China.
Yeah. Well,
I definitely randomly every couple of weeks will watch Trump videos of his best China moments, where they just go over how many times he says China. It's entertaining.
Maybe he's hit his lows in the polls this past week.
Well, you see, he's back to now he's going hard on masks. They're patriotic. They're great.
Yeah, I think he's in full mode now. And
yeah, he's got the home stretch. Trump is that guy. You don't bet against the horse that knows how to win down the stretch. That's not in first at the home stretch. It's not the home stretch yet. You don't bet against this guy. Every time Obama bet against him and ripped on him a few years ago.
The Ringling Brothers circus right in front of our eyes. And the main clown has entered the stage. And that's
a modern day Andy Kaufman, but with way more success.
So it sounds like you guys think Trump's about to flip the switch.
I told you guys that a few weeks ago. He had plenty of time to pivot, and he's starting to pivot now. If you look at the narrative, it's wear a mask, which is great because for the virus, that'll completely help it die down with this not being politicized.
Look, by the time the election rolls around, people are going to think that Trump told everyone to wear a mask a year before the virus.
Yeah, exactly. He'll figure out a way to make people think Biden was against masks. That's what a genius marketer he is.
Let's look at some early active stocks this morning. First off, Joe, do you guys know what the ZOM company is?
No, but it's on my list, so someone must have told me about it. Maybe it was you, Dan.
It definitely wasn't me, but they've been getting a lot of hype lately, and they're the number one active moving stock this morning on my volume scanner.
Well, 18 cents. So.
Oh, really?
Is that a Mark Roberts? Did he just tell you about it? It's up 14%.
No. Mark Roberts did tell me about another stock I didn't mention to you. I didn't buy it, and
Vuzi is off to a terrible
Rosetta
start.
Stone was the one he mentioned to me, and I missed that one.
Rosetta Stone. Why? Because everyone has so much time on their hands, locked down?
I think they were doing some kind of deal with the schools. I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
What's their stock ticker? That's interesting.
Don't know.
I used that once back in the day, Dad, your China discs. I spent like 8 minutes on it, and I'm like,
I know, and I believe you lost them. I never had those discs again. So my Chinese is not good.
RST for anyone.
I always look at the pre-market scanners and look for names I recognize as ones to maybe, see if there's some action brewing for the day for day trading. And one that pops up, I know they kind of had a pretty lousy quarter as far as a big profit miss, but Snapchat, did you guys tune
down 9%. I'm not shocked at all. I'm so sick of people thinking Snapchat is something they're not. I don't get it. I don't really think that they have anything. When Instagram rolled out Insta stories, ever since then, it seems like they're trying to figure out their identity, and I don't get it. Where they were like, oh, there's a window with companies stopping Facebook ads for Snapchat. What window? I don't see it.
Yeah.
They have way less users than people expected. Again, that's to me a sinking ship. I don't think Snapchat, they should have sold to Facebook a few years ago. Evan Spiegel reminds me of a poor man's Maloney with the ego problem. But a richer.
It's interesting you say that. It's definitely, I think, a company that was benefiting off of the narrative that TikTok might be banned in the United States, which I think is a lousy reason for a stock to start gaining momentum, because Snapchat's nothing like TikTok. No. And even if TikTok went, if they banned it in the United States, I don't necessarily think that means everybody's going on Snapchat.
Explain to me, as a company, even for us, say Snapchat gave us an opportunity to work with them on a trial. Explain to me what it is, the value proposition that they bring that Instagram doesn't have. Like, I don't get it at all.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah,
it doesn't exist. That's really the problem for them. They keep making up these narratives around their advertising that it's more effective with certain specific niches and communities. It's not. There's been no proof of that. And
so, Mike, so when you think about the future then of Snapchat, what comes to mind? Like, how do you envision that company?
Kind of like, remember Kodak when they were in their heyday?
Not really.
Polaroid. I don't see any future.
Kodak was in their heyday in the 60s. You better.
Yeah, that's my point. These Polaroid, they had a great run and then just fell off the planet. MySpace. I don't see what I thought for a while. Snapchat was going to get more into the whole video and photo game to somehow, but they don't have an angle. I think Zuckerberg completely screwed them. Once they rolled out Insta stories, it seems like Snap's been trying to figure out a new edge, and they don't have one. Maybe I'm missing something. You guys know I have never been big on Snapchat. I used it a while ago when we were in Japan a few years ago, trying to build up a food blog following a little. And then I realized, wait a minute, Insta Stories does the exact same thing. And it's way easier to use and monetize.
Yeah, I'm going to have to full on agree with you on this one, I think.
I would stay far away from that stock. I think there's way more room to run down. I've never owned it. I wish I shorted it, to be honest with you, because I've never liked the company.
Yeah, all right, enough with Snap. Plug, did anyone see the head of Plug on Kramer last night?
No way, really?
Yeah, I missed it. I was hoping you guys would have told me what he said, but the stock, I think people knew it was on because the stock ran up during the day, and it's kind of back to 890 again.
I'm actually short at 891.
Yeah,
this stock is a great day trading stock because it really sticks to the charts and it forms technical patterns and it sticks to them, and you can get great 1 to 2% moves back and forth all day long, and they happen in a very a slow, methodical way where you don't need to feel like you gotta stare at it all day and wait.
Dan, tell me the entry points today. I'll jump in that with you.
Well, it'll be interesting because yesterday, obviously, Plug was popping, and I mean, Dad, we've both been playing pop. It seems like any time it goes above 9, it's a short. And it seems like
9, 9.25, 9.5. You could stick with round numbers on this. Just move it by a penny or two.
Stock just dropped 10 cents in about 2 seconds, which is a full percent for Plug.
Yeah.
Went from 898 to 888, literally as Dad was saying that.
Yeah.
And
then 875, 850 on the buy side. That's.
And it almost seems like if you look at, a week long or even a little bit further out, it keeps trying to set new lows as it maybe makes its way down.
It's impossible that thing's going to go back down below 8, where we're going to see more of a nosedive here. That's my one worry with the day shorts with them.
Well, no, that's what do you mean?
The day trading. Is there a chance one of these days that thing just actually falls?
Well, yeah,
but that's why you're watching it and you stay on top of it.
I'm looking at this chart right now.
I rather have a bias to the short side, so you play it to the short side, and you could just keep shorting it on the up moves and buying it back and waiting for it to go back up.
I want to see this thing go below 843.
840. Well, so a good rule of thumb that I've been finding works really well with Plug is if you kind of go off of the 25 cent marks. So, like, first it broke down to 875, then it broke down to 850. Wouldn't shock me if today maybe it tried touching 825 if it was going to have a bad day.
831, Dan, is the number to look at for what you're talking about.
Well, that's close enough, right?
What I'm talking about is, like, it's been such a technical chart that it literally moves on the quarter line. Like, the amount of resistance and support it'll get every 25 cents one way or another. It's remarkable to watch, and that's where, you could play it and set quick stop losses in case you are wrong, like what you were saying, Mike. And, like here, if Plug goes down to 875, like I said, it keeps trying to make new lows. So I think ultimately it probably wants to make its way down under 8. But every 25 cents is where I've been switching up my position and just like taking a look at it and seeing, okay, do I try and go long? Do I try and go short? But I've been back and forth on it.
I want to get back in this long once it dips below 7 again. I know I jumped out of that when it was at 598 after a nice run up when I was in that since 4. So I'm hoping.
By the way, the insiders sold this thing, I believe, below 7.
Well, so we hold it.
So the people in the company think that it's too high.
683 seemed to be where like a lot of the big timers got out before that big run up. So,
well, look, this is in the, it's kind of a peripheral stock in the NIO world or the Nikola world, because those stocks led the Robinhood traders to Plug. And
but Plug is way less of a speculative long-term than those stocks.
Well, it is, but it got caught up in those. And
so when can we find a great value for Plug as an entry point when those are to take advantage of that notion?
550.
550?
550 sounds good.
I got out at 598, so anything under 6 I'd be jumping on.
At the beginning of this pandemic, we were looking at Plug like when it fell under 4, we would jump on.
Right.
We were basically looking at it like, oh, when it's at 394, it's an interesting buy up to like 420.
I had it at 392. That was my buy-in point.
That's my point, though. Like, I don't necessarily think it makes any sense when a stock moves over 100% in 2 to 3 months. It's kind of
if it goes under 6, I definitely would be intrigued.
Yeah. So, yeah, Plug's an interesting one. I was also – actually, it's funny you brought up NIO because I was day trading NIO yesterday too. It's crazy. Yeah, that stock has such insane volume, even though yesterday it was not doing a whole lot. It was, but it wasn't. But watching the volume on there and watching the ticker, it's wild. Now it looks like it's starting to break down more. I actually was able to sell it after hours at $12.98.
Nice trade.
Yeah, because I picked some up at $12.75. And
the background, Goldman basically put a sell recommendation on this thing 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, but then some Chinese firm yesterday, right before the market opened, put a buy on it. Even though
I heard. Does anyone believe them?
I don't think anyone really knows what they are. I mean, look, yesterday was not a great day for NIO. It looked like they were going to have one of their popping days, and they didn't. Like they opened looking like they were going to break through 1350, and then they fell through 13, and then we're kind of trying to hover above that 1280 range all day. That was another stock that it was amazing to watch it because it was, again, if you looked at it when it was in that 1280 to 1285 range, it was so much volume on both sides where it really wasn't moving beyond that much. It would temporarily fall below 1280 a little. It got all the way down to like 1265 at one point, but yeah, ultimately it had a little strength. But today it looks like it's breaking down a little. Dan, any update on APT?
I just think, the story was a few days ago, and
so we're done with it.
At this point, unless it really gets hit, I wouldn't buy it. It's all over the place, but I don't see the excitement now that Trump's wearing a mask. That's kind of what we were waiting for in this stock.
Yeah, so you're basically saying it's a completely speculative play, and now that people are actually maybe going to buy masks, it's no longer a good play. It's like,
it's probably okay. They're going to do better because they're selling masks and other equipment. But I think the day trading part of that game was the last few days, and now it's kind of died down.
Yeah,
maybe it'll get going again, but it seems to be on the back end of the speculation.
Yeah, I'll say again, another good day trading stock has been Dave & Buster's play. I know I've been bringing them up a bunch on here. Again, I would never like own play as a long-term investment, but it's been a good day trading stock. Yesterday, it was a good buy when it fell to 13, and then you were able to, get 1 to 2% moves all day on it. And if you bought it at 13, you had chances to get out at like 13.10, then back down to 13.
I wonder when that stock's actually a good value to actually be in, because it's taking.
You can make the argument now, unless you think Dave & Buster's is as a whole going to go bankrupt. I don't really know. They were doing well before the pandemic. It's obvious a big recovery play, and they're not going to do well in a situation where people
they've got to figure out a way to go virtual with something. I'm wondering what they're doing internally to maybe it's helped them expedite the roadmap a bit. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything, but they're going to need to shift gears on their model a little.
Yeah, or just have enough cash to get through when things open again.
No, like if I'm Dave & Buster's, I'm doing what Walmart's been doing with the parking lots, with the drive-in movies. When you think about it, I would do a whole carnival setup, almost like an outdoor gaming, to kind of combat this whole social distancing thing. Set up carnival games, do a drive-in movie theater in the parking lots. They definitely can be doing some things here to bring in revenues. They should just hit up the Rolland Group for some consulting.
So what are your guys' thoughts on Microsoft's earnings today?
I think they're going to be great.
They better be great, is what the market's saying.
I mean, IBM's were great. I'd be surprised if Microsoft's aren't great. I really would, with where we're at with cloud. I just don't. I'd be very surprised. I know they're supposed to be, but I think it could be time to buy some heading into earnings.
Yeah, I hate buying stocks.
I already own enough Microsoft. I'm not buying more. I'm just saying for anyone that's on the sidelines of that stock, I could see it running up after earnings.
Yeah, I mean, I would be way more inclined to think that it would sell off after earnings if the last couple of days the stock wasn't kind of selling off a little bit. Like,
exactly.
I almost thought this stock was going to be over 220 heading into earnings.
Well, it might be after earnings.
It might be. It seems like the stocks that have been actually releasing good earnings, it's almost like a sell the news type of thing. And again, it depends how much they've run up. Like I'm definitely keeping an eye on Amazon and keeping an eye on Microsoft. obviously Microsoft has earnings today. Amazon, I think later in the month, maybe in like 2 weeks from now. But you would think those stocks are going to really almost dictate what the entire market does. Like if Microsoft sells off hard on earnings or Amazon, that might be one of those look out below situations, because there's no doubt you got a lot of people right now that are just like not saying that we're in anything that resembles 2000, but people just being like, this isn't normal for tech stocks to move 8 or 9% in a day like what Amazon did 2 days ago. Like,
I think it is, though, with why they're moving that. When you look at how much this has helped them, when they've already been who they are going into the pandemic, it really has. And Microsoft, the reason I'm bullish there, it's not like a brick and mortar play where you're worrying about foot traffic. There's nothing that involves negativity around the pandemic.
Right, but that's built into the stock price.
Exactly. It's built. I keep hearing things are built in, but that means it's going up more. Because when you look at the negatives with the pandemic, a Microsoft doesn't have any, the way their company is built.
I mean, the negatives that all these companies have is that it becomes such a perfect growth stock that if it's not a perfect growth stock, they'll get destroyed. Look, I think Microsoft has a little bit more of a reasonable valuation than like an Amazon. If you look at, their forward PE, it's not like it's blowing it out of the water in a way where it's like, man, this is historically dangerous. But you could say that about some other NASDAQ.
Well, Microsoft's going to go up. I don't think there's anything to worry about there.
Well, then you should put all your money in Microsoft right now.
No, I think what we should be looking at here, guys, I know I brought this up last week, is Match. I'm waiting on this thing. If it dips below 92, I'm going to be jumping on a lot of it. Pull up that chart, Dan. This thing it was up to over 107 a couple weeks ago, and it's dipped about 20%. And looking at the chart here, it seems it's getting sexy.
I'm pulling it up.
There's just too much money with these subscriptions and people on these apps now, and more people on these apps than ever before in different formats, even with the whole traveler pass thing they do on a lot of these where you can match with people around the world unlimited. There's a lot of stuff they're doing. And
what's your entry point?
Under 92. If it goes down to 91.75, 91.80, that's my move in.
Gotcha. I mean,
it's already hit those two spots recently.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, if that was your entry, you might as well get a little now because it touched that.
Ideally, I'd like to get it below 90, but I do like where it's trading right now.
It's the kind of stock, Mike, if it does break that 90 area, then you could be probably buying it closer to 83 to 80.
Well, that's why I want to wait a little. Part of me thinks it's going to dip below 90.
Yeah, it's also important for our viewers to know Match.com owns majority of the dating apps. They don't own Bumble. They own Tinder. They own all the big ones. Yeah, anytime somebody gets big in that space.
Plenty of Fish, Match, all those.
Yeah, but Bumble's really the only one I'm pretty sure that they don't own.
Bumble sucks from firsthand experience. That's like the worst app.
Well, Mitch's buddy from college, his son owns Bumble.
Good for him. At least someone's paid off that.
No, I'm sorry, his daughter.
Yeah, she's got a crazy story. That's
we should get her on the podcast.
Well, her name's Wolf, right?
Wait, Mitch's daughter owns Bumble?
No. Mitch's good friend from college, his daughter owns Bumble.
We should get her on the podcast.
She used to work for Tinder, and I'm pretty sure it was like dating the founder.
Yeah, she worked for Tinder. Exactly.
Let's have her on here as a guest.
Yeah, I mean, she's a big time person. She's been on some huge podcasts. That would be an awesome.
Well, we're going to can you get Mitch on the horn for us so we can get her on Bootstrapped?
We could definitely get Mitch on Bootstrap.
I don't want Mitch on Bootstrap. I don't want to hear about some smuggling stuff through Europe.
So, Dad, what are you looking at today?
I'm just thinking about biking up in Breckenridge today. I'm not really looking at the market. I thought Microsoft was coming out early. I guess it's after the close. So yesterday I trimmed a little bit of stock. I got out of more Donkey Kong, and I'm down to 500 pen right now.
I
And
saw a little pen as well yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean, those two remain great gambling trading stocks, and they're working their way back to their highs, but there's probably going to be a little back and filling now for a couple of days, it feels like to me. So I think they're good to play. Yesterday was a complete surprise to me, though. The banks were real strong and the techs were weak early on.
So is it possible we're heading into another bull market leg from that?
I don't know. I mean, one thing's for sure, if Tesla and Microsoft don't come through, the money's going to have to find another area to get excited about if it's going to continue. And those are the two main earnings today.
Yeah, is there, to kind of add to Mike's point, is there almost like a bigger theme thing you're keeping your eye on just to see the trend of the greater markets as a whole? I know there's a lot of people that are just kind of very nervous about the state of the market, whether it's going to continue to explode or it's getting to a point where it's bound to correct hard in a big way. You got people inside the Fed making comments that the market can correct really, really hard, really fast because valuations aren't necessarily in touch with pricing. Are there things that you look for other than individual stocks that kind of give you a pulse on where the market might want to go from here?
Well, I think listening to the Fed is really important because they could definitely steer people into thinking that there should be a sell-off, and that could happen. But as we've seen in the last couple of years, every sell-off is vicious, fast, and over. So unless you're set up for it, it just hits you. So the one way to do it is to just get into all cash and wait for it if you think it's imminent.
And then you end up losing a lot of money because you're
the problem with that is always timing, and it's almost impossible to time the market. And I've been thinking we're going to have a big downfall for a while, and it just doesn't happen like that. It happens when you least expect it.
Exactly. And then when you're hearing people being nervous, people coming on saying those things, it makes me less nervous. Because usually when these things happen, it's when everyone's not talking about it.
Right. That's true, except everyone is saying where you just said, Mike, which makes me think it might happen. It's almost like enough people say that it won't happen because everyone's negative, it actually will happen.
When I hear Mark Cuban coming on being like, my niece and daughter are asking me what stocks to buy, it reminds me of the tech bubble in 2000. I hear that and I'm like, Cuban, you're just begging people to sell stocks so you can make more money.
Is he though, Mike? That guy is worth billions. He's got tons of money.
I don't buy into that crap. I don't think that's when shit hits the fan, when someone comes out, oh, everyone's saying what stock to buy now, we're done. That just to me is too by the book.
But that's what used to be the case. When your taxi driver and your barber are telling you tips.
I feel like that's exhausted though. That's like almost a movie fairy tale.
I think people that think the market's going to correct itself say so off of the notion that at the end of the day, valuations matter, and never in history do they not matter. And you can't even say that those people are incorrect. Like at the end of the day, the stock market, if you look at it on an individual stock basis, stocks are priced based on their earnings, based on their profits, based on their revenues, and eventually those things ultimately come into play again. It doesn't matter how high the market runs up.
And no one has any clue. Literally nobody. Expert.
Well, no, I mean, what they do have a clue on is that they have a way of valuing stocks. And if it gets out of line, the market does adjust. I mean, right now, I would say Tesla, a year from now, the best bet is it's going to be lower than it is right now.
Dad, but are you willing to gamble that with your money? Probably not.
Well, it's one of those stocks that people have gotten so burned on the short side that you just want to watch it. You'll be on the sidelines and
I would not bet
play it
at all. It's really not a good move.
I'm not saying it's a good move, but the chances, I would say, from a valuation point of view, if Tesla went down to 800, it's still an incredible company at an incredible price. It could easily cut in half and still be on a high track to be a phenomenally new company in this.
I mean,
world.
if Tesla cuts in half, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it.
That would cut in half this afternoon on earnings, not all at once, but at the end of the day,
also double.
I mean, I can't think of what they would have to come out and say for the stock to double.
But Dan, when it was at 800, did you think it was going to be trading at 1600?
No, but now it is 1600. So now you got to really say, all right, what's the reality versus the myth here? And the upside is limited. You know, you just can't go up, up, up and away when you have a real company. It works when you don't have a real company for a while.
I think there's very few exceptions to that. One of that, like maybe only one in this world being Elon Musk. Like I think that guy is on such a different train of thought than he's always going to be ahead of narratives and things people come up with.
Sorry,
today he's got to come up and say there's a phenomenal battery that they've developed that lasts twice as long. Something in that order.
Well, he might have. Who